Hello everybody, my name is Nick. Glad you can make it, glad to see that you're here. Today's video again is brought to you by United Shipping Pro. And last time I talked to you about why you should be selling your products on Amazon. Today I want to talk to you about something a little different. We want to talk about what that product is going to be and a few pointers and tips and things you need to think about when you're launching that product, on how to go about that, just some simple basic stuff like that. And also throughout today's video, I'm going to be telling you about how United Shipping Pro's services are going to be helpful in doing some of the things we're talking about today. So the first thing I want to touch upon is I want to dispel some myths that a lot of people fall into when choosing a product that they want to try and sell. The first myth I want to talk about is this idea that a lot of people fall into, that just because their idea is good means their product is going to sell. Not necessarily true, okay? There are a lot of things that have to do with whether or not a product is going to sell. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that the most important thing is whether or not your product is marketable. Is it profitable? We're going to talk more about this stuff later, but there's a lot that goes into selling a product that doesn't just have to do with the idea, and the product doesn't do all of the work itself. You actually have to sell this product. The second myth I want to talk about is you might be looking at another company and thinking to yourself that this company sells a product really well. Maybe if I sold the product, I'd have the same success. And that also is not necessarily true. While maybe you could sell something that somebody else is selling, you're not going to have the same success another company is having with the same product, because that company has experience with marketing that product and they know things. They've done product research, they've had years backing them, maybe they've put money into advertising. There are a lot of things you don't necessarily know a company is doing, and so there has been a process behind how they've been selling that product that you haven't observed, and you haven't been through that process with the same product. Finally, the last myth I want to dispel for sure is this idea that you're going to go into this knowing absolutely nothing, and then you're just going to learn from your mistakes via trial and error. Big bad idea. While it is true that some extent of the learning is going to have to be the hard way, you're not going to learn everything from day one and perform perfectly day two. Just not going to happen. You will have to learn from your mistakes. But if this is the only way that you're trying to learn, then I'm sorry, but it's going to take way too much money. It's going to take way too much time, and also you have to realize it's completely unnecessary. What you should be doing, yes, you should learn from your mistakes, but you should try to do most of your learning ahead of time. It's very easy to go ahead and read some books, read some articles, or even just watch stuff like this Amazon course where I give you practical sound advice on how to go about selling your products. Doing that is going to save you time and money. It could potentially prevent some disasters. And again, there's just no reason to try to learn everything from trial and error. So that's basically all of the myths that you have to worry about and you have to look out for when you're trying to select a product. But now I want to talk to you about where's the green light? How do I know that this is the thing that I should be selling? How do I know that this is marketable? The first thing you need to do is you need to do some product research, so figuring out if your product is marketable through research. And you could do all of that manually, but that's going to take time. What would actually be a better option would probably be invest maybe a little money or try to get your hands on a product research tool. Things like Viral Launch, Jungle Scout, Amaze Owl. A product research tool is going to help automate the entire process. They're usually pretty cheap, you don't really have to spend very much, and they save you a lot of time. And as we all know, time is money, so you're making the money back anyway, ultimately. Now beyond that, we want to understand generally what the key principle is that makes something marketable. And so maybe you've heard of this before, but there's a concept of high demand and low competition. And so that's what you want to be going for. Let me go into that a little bit more. High demand and low competition. Low competition as in not a lot of people are selling the product, okay? Or maybe they're not selling it at the highest quality, right? There's no high quality versions of the product. However, there is a really high demand for that. In other words, people want that product. People are ready and willing to buy it already. There's an audience out there for that product. So that's the green light. You want to do the product research, you want to use tools, and you want to understand that core principle. But I want to also talk about a whole bunch of other things that you need to be asking yourself while you're in this process of selling a product and coming up with something. The first thing you need to ask yourself is my product profitable? Not necessarily marketable, but is it profitable? And so what that means is you endure a certain amount of expense trying to produce your product and sell it to people. Whether it's a shipping expense, whether it's a production expense, trying to buy the materials, you spend certain money trying to make the product available. You only get a certain amount back when you sell the product. It might cost me $20 to make a tire. I might be able to only sell it for $30. So that's only a $10 profit, right? It might be really marketable, but it's a small profit. In the same way, let's say it costs me $30 to make a tire, but I can only really sell it at $20. It's not profitable. I'm not gonna make really much return. I'm gonna have to try to sell it for a higher price and nobody's gonna wanna buy it and I'm not gonna make a profit. Marketable just means that you can sell it, that you can get people to buy your product, right? But what price are you selling it at and what expenses are you enduring to make that product? That's something you want to think about. Sometimes your margin of profit can be really affected by something simple like product sourcing. And so I want to take this time actually to share with you United Shipping Pro. I'll put the link on the screen. It has a really good product sourcing package. I'll put the link right here if you want to look at it. That's something that you want to look at too, finding the most efficient ways to do things like that. So the other thing you want to be asking yourself is, how can I improve my product, right? Nothing is perfect. You're always going to be able to make improvements. And of course, if you improve your product, it's going to be more marketable. People are going to talk about it more. You're going to sell more. It's just going to be good for your business. So you want to try to improve your product. And basically the way to do this right out the gate, even if you don't have a lot of customer feedback right now, is you can look at other people selling the same product and look at the reviews on those products. And this will give you an idea of what people are looking for with that particular kind of product. You can base your product on that. The other thing that doesn't take too much time, doesn't take too much explanation, is going to be you want to use an Amazon profitability calculator. And make sure you don't forget to charge the business for your time and other people who may have helped you. Again, we're going to talk about profitability. In this case, we're going to talk about air cargo rates. You can actually talk to United Shipping Pro. They'll give you a free quote on air cargo shipping rates. And guys, I'm telling you, they'll go the extra mile for you and they're going to give you even some free advice. You want to have a freight forwarder that cares for you. Finally, and usually this won't be a problem, but it is also one of the most important things, is you want to know the legal requirements or the legal information about selling the product you're selling. This might be very basic stuff like just basic tax information you need to know. It also might be more complicated stuff or more significant stuff if you're selling something that could potentially be dangerous, like a giant electromagnet or a flamethrower or something weird like that. So you want to know what is the legal information that you need to know. That's the sort of information you should be able to look up, or you might call a lawyer and just have a consultation about that. So those are all just things that you need to be asking yourself, actual questions, but I want to finish this video off telling you some other general, really good pieces of advice that are going to help you along the way. Okay, so the first piece of advice I have for you is just very simple. This whole video we've been talking about this like you're only going to be selling one product, but you don't have to do it that way. Actually, a good idea is to have more than one product, and I recommend 3. This way, you don't have to invest all of your resources into one thing without ever knowing how well it's going to succeed or anything like that. If you have 3 different products, you can see which product is going to succeed the most, and then you can focus more energy on selling that product. Now, the other route is to invest in something called a complete Amazon companion app. What is that? Well, from A to Z, United Shipping Pro is working on something like this where they will do absolutely everything actually for your product launch. So if you're new to this, you're selling a product, or you're even a little bit unsure about the whole process, this is actually a great route to go. Another thing you want to do, absolutely, you want to get samples and you want to get a feel for the samples, right? Whatever you're selling. And a hack here, again, is you want to use a forwarder like United Shipping Pro who will send it to you in one package. It'll be a lot cheaper than via any other method. Now, this piece of advice I'm going to talk to you about, there's no excuse not to do this one. This is probably the most important one, and it's just research, 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 right? There's no excuse not to be researching your product. You should try to get to the point where you're a total expert on it. It'll help you with marketing the product, talking to people about the product. It'll help you with everything involved in the process of selling it. If you have an hour here, an hour there, it doesn't have to be all at once. Research your product. Okay, so those are all the things you want to be doing. Those are things you want to be asking yourself. Those are the myths that you need to avoid. We talked about a lot of stuff in this video. Just remember that if you are feeling a little bit intimidated by this whole thing, because it is a lot of information, remember that a lot of it can be automated, right? If you use the product research tools instead of doing it yourself, if you use a complete Amazon companion pack like United Shipping Pro provides, and just use some of these general tips, and by watching this Amazon course, it should all be a lot easier for you than if you were to start from scratch and do everything by yourself. And remember, that is actually why I advocate to people to sell their products on Amazon versus trying to just sell their products some other way, some other website. It's way easier to do it this way. And if you follow my advice, you follow these tools and tips and strategies, you should be selling in no time and making some kind of profit. Remember, there are people who go from exactly where you are now and they reach a point where they're making millions of dollars a month. It's a very exciting thing to be a part of. Entrepreneurship is something that is a benefit to society, a benefit to other people, and it is also going to be a benefit to your life. So just keep that in mind. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you stay tuned for the next video that comes out. Once again, this video is brought to you by United Shipping Pro. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.